In this island nation, the earth is never truly still. Every year, more than 1,500 earthquakes strike. For the Japanese, it's simply part of daily life. Tsunamis, typhoons, landslides and mudflows, blizzards in winter, torrential rains in summer, and volcanoes that can erupt at any moment. For many people, these would be disasters that bring only fear and destruction. But in Japan, they have become part of everyday reality. After each catastrophe, what remains is not despair, but rebuilding and renewal. In most countries, a magnitude 8 earthquake could destroy an entire city. In Japan, it might mean nothing more than a massive evacuation drill. Today, we journey into one of the most disaster-prone nations on Earth to see how Japan rises from the ruins, time and again, and continues to move forward.
Hey guys, welcome to the show. This is the very first episode about Japan, and before we dive into the fancy stuff, history, culture, all that, let's start from the ground level, because let's be honest, history is just who beat who. Big deal. You think that makes your country strong? Please. Real strength is not about crushing your neighbor. It's about surviving when the planet itself tries to crush you. That's the real strength. The very foundation for a nation's survival and continuity. Nature doesn't care about your army, your GDP, or your national pride. An earthquake hits, a tsunami rolls in, and just like that, all your power looks like a joke. You can't outpunch the earth. You can't sue a volcano. You can't negotiate with a typhoon. So, today's episode isn't about history or politics or any brain-melting debates. It's about building your very first impression of Japan. And trust me, Japan is resilient. Really resilient. Now let's dive into it. Part 1. Alright, so here's the deal. Japan is basically built on the ultimate disaster hotspot. I mean, this island sits right on the Pacific Ring of Fire, where four massive tectonic plates collide: the Pacific, Philippine Sea, Eurasian, and North American plates. No wonder earthquakes are so frequent here. Every year, Japan experiences around 1,500 earthquakes you can actually feel. Yeah, that's roughly for a day. And a bunch of them are pretty strong, shaking the ground enough to knock things off the shelves. But that's just the start. Those quakes often trigger tsunamis, giant waves that can wipe out whole towns. Just look at the 2011 Tohoku earthquake. A tsunami almost 40 meters high swallowed communities, tragically taking nearly 20,000 lives. And it doesn't stop there. Japan is also home to over 100 active volcanoes, which is about 10% of all active volcanoes on Earth. So, yeah, the threat of eruptions is real. On top of that, the country lies along the so-called typhoon corridor. Each summer and autumn, 11 to 15 typhoons hit Japanese soil, and a couple of them usually bring serious destruction. Heavy rains, flooding, landslides, mudslides, you name it. Winter? Don't get me started. Northern Japan sees some of the heaviest snowfall on the planet, sometimes shutting down transportation and daily life. And let's not forget climate change. It's making things worse with extreme heat waves and abnormal rainfall, stacking risks on top of risks. So yeah, Japan pretty much gets all types of natural disasters, and the frequency, off the charts. Every single one is a brutal test of this nation's resilience. Disasters. Yeah, Japan gets them. All the time. But here's the thing. They don't just sit there waiting to get crushed. They prepare. Big time. Kids, they're doing earthquake drills before they even know how to spell earthquake. Tiny helmets, little backpacks, practice evacuations. It's part of growing up. Buildings? Forget it. Over 90% of new ones are built to take a beating. Some skyscrapers have giant shock absorbers inside, like a car suspension system. Except it's holding up a 200-meter tower. Floods? Tokyo has this monster underground tunnel system called the G-Cans. Looks like something out of a science fiction movie. Giant pillars, a chamber the size of a football field. It can swallow 670,000 cubic meters of floodwater and pump it out before the city drowns. Alerts, earthquake hits, your phone screams, your train slams the brakes, your television flashes a warning. All in seconds. Typhoons, you get a forecast days ahead, and when disaster strikes for real, the whole country moves. Military in hours, volunteers everywhere, donations flying in. That collapsed highway in 2011. Back open in 6 days. Even international help showed up fast. From the United States, the United Kingdom, China, and many others. In short, in Japan, disasters are rare events. They're homework. Everyday practice. And while they can't stop nature, they've turned catastrophe into something manageable. Even the world's most disaster-prepared country has its vulnerable moments. In 2011, a massive earthquake in eastern Japan triggered a tsunami that smashed into the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. Now, here's the thing. This was just nature being cruel. Some of the disaster's impact came from human decisions, plant design, safety measures, and how the system was managed. That combination made the situation far worse. The crisis isn't over yet. They're still handling nuclear wastewater, and the plant won't be fully decommissioned until 2050. Japan decided to release treated nuclear water, which sparked concern from neighbors like South Korea, China, and Pacific Island nations. Even inside Japan, opinions are split. Fukushima forced the country to rethink nuclear safety, energy policy, and disaster management. People's awareness went up, but it's clear technology and regulations alone can't prevent every catastrophe. Fukushima is a reminder, disasters aren't just natural. Mistakes, oversight, and human choices can amplify the danger. And even the best prepared country faces tough lessons when nature and human error collide. And yet, even in the face of the toughest blows, the people of Japan never back down. On this land, constantly tested by nature, generations have built one of the world's strongest disaster prevention systems, protecting both life and dignity. Earthquakes aren't a game. They remind us that a nation's true strength shows when facing disaster with calm and composure. Nature can't be fully predicted, but it can be prepared for. And Japan has spent decades, even centuries, building a society that can coexist with catastrophe. What we see isn't magic. It's the rigor of institutions, the resilience of culture, the power of technology, and the spirit of the people. Every reconstruction after a disaster is more than recovery, it's an upgrade. This is the Japanese way, forging the strongest resilience in the most vulnerable places. Making it through a disaster is hard enough. But don't forget, real strength comes from owning your mistakes, learning from them, and reflecting. In a world where crises strike often, may we all find a way to be like them, steadfast yet compassionate, staying resilient in adversity, and finding hope in the face of challenge.